Hello, this is Thomas, K4SWL. If you're new here, I like to do real-time, real-life amateur radio field activation videos. And today I'm doing something a little special. I may even push this video to the front of the line. I'm probably a good 3 or 4 weeks behind right now getting videos posted. It always takes me a while to do that. I may push this one to the line because I've gotten so many questions about this radio that I'm working with today. It is the truSDX. And just received it yesterday. It is brand new to me, and I'll tell you more about it in a second. Let's tell you what I've got hooked up to it. Right now I've got it hooked up to a 40 meter in-fed half wave. This is made by my buddy Steve Wheatstone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you again for this. I've taken this thing out a few times now, and it has just performed so beautifully. He just did it, you know, for fun for me. He doesn't sell these or anything like that. He just made one, and I really appreciate it, Steve. This thing has been wonderful. I've already done some other videos that you'll see later that use this antenna, but you're likely seeing this antenna for the first time here on the channel with this particular radio. But basically, I put up a 40 meter in-fed half wave. It is way up there. I bet that thing is 55 feet up and going over, so nearly a vertical antenna, not quite. And I've got my little system set up here. I'm going to log on the side with AC log, which I don't normally do, but this is with my tablet, which is just a little easier to put in information into this than it is on my phone. I screw up contacts all the time on my phone when I'm doing this. So let me change this. I just realized I got that set to single sideband, and I bet you I'm going to start on CW. So I better get this in here so I don't forget it. There we go. Let's talk a little bit about this truSDX before I get the activation going here. I'm hoping I can do a successful activation with this radio. I want to. I really do. But this isn't the typical radio that I have on here. So let's get started. I'm going to set this up, and then I'll sort of show you around the radio, and then we'll try to do an activation with it. Okay, I'm back here, and I'll adjust this now to just kind of get the radio here in front of us so we can see this. So here's a little about the truSDX. Now, if you are not a QRPer, you may not have ever heard of this radio. If you're in the world of field QRP, then you likely have, because this thing has made a lot of waves in the past year or two. And I was really excited to receive it, I've got to be honest. So this is a project that started out, I think in the early days, based on a QCX design, and don't quote me on any of this. I don't really understand the sort of legacy of this radio going back in its earliest development, but basically I can tell you that PE1 and NZ and DL2MAN both put in a lot of work and time on this design, and it's often referred to as the uSDX, or the sandwich. They'll call it the uSDX sandwich transceiver, because inside, I won't pull this apart now, but inside there's two boards that kind of sandwich together. Up until gosh, what was it? Maybe the end of 2021 or early 2022. This was kind of more like a homebrew deal, where you looked up it was an open source project, and you could look up the information online, get all the components, and build it yourself. But I don't think anyone was really kitting them up yet. I may be wrong, and you can correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but I never saw any kits for this particular radio. But there were radios available under the same name. In fact, I reviewed one, if I can remember, I'll link to it above, that I called the Chinese uSDX. And the reason I did that is because manufacturers in China got a hold of the open source, project files and everything, and they started making these. And a lot of people bought them because they're very affordable. They're under, I think they were between maybe around $150 to $180 depending on the manufacturer. And I bought one because so many people urged me to check it out. I didn't feel drawn to it. I'll tell you that, but I was curious how it might perform. And I was not terribly impressed with that particular radio, especially for a CW op. Mine had problems with overloading, and it would overload with like an S9 CW signal, which just made it unusable for SOTA and stuff, and for Parks on the Air. the designer, and I know that DL2MAN had kind of made a point saying, hey, the original is much better than the one that's manufactured in China right now. And people really wanted access to the original. So they just released in January, I believe, a couple different companies, early January, released kit forms of this radio where it was a kitted up version of this. So you could buy the kit and you could build it yourself. It was done through group builds. It was done through a lot of different ways, but this is a 3D printed housing. And then inside you've got the radio kit itself. There's a company called Row Waves in Romania, but there were just numerous other group kit buys that were going on. And I didn't get in very early on this. I did, I think I purchased mine in early February, and it was a third production run kit of the truSDX, and I bought it from Row Waves in Romania. A few weeks later, DL2MAN actually posted on his website that there was a manufacturer in China that was kitting this up as the proper radio, as the truSDX, and he approved of them, and the kit was $135. And I thought, I may as well go ahead and buy one of those as well. They're just so affordable, and I thought I could probably lend it to other people to use or something like that. So I ordered one that was fully assembled. And actually my main idea was I was thinking that I could test the kit that I built. And once I've built it and used it, and then I would go to the field and try it, I could see how well it would perform compared to the pre-assembled one that was done in a factory professionally. I'm not the best kit builder in the world, but I do what I can. And I thought I'd do that. But what happened at the end of the day was this kit arrived way earlier than I was expecting. I thought this would be a good month or maybe even 2 months after I received my kit. I haven't received the kit yet, but I've got the radio that's pre-assembled. I just received it yesterday. So this little radio, you can't really see the display very easily on here. You can probably hear some noise. I do have the audio running through an audio recorder right now. You may see this here on the side. The reason I'm doing that is the speaker is not loud at all. And when you turn it up any level at all, it just sort of becomes inaudible, like it squeals, which is one of the things that the Chinese receiver or the Chinese uSDX did. But this is the truSDX, so this is it's not that radio. I'm gonna have to turn down the audio here myself so I can listen to this. There's so much noise on it. So yeah, basically, I've had this one day. The only thing I've done with this radio at all is I only had about 30 minutes with it yesterday. I'm super, super busy right now. I was only at home for one day, and I took it in. I picked it up at the post office. I hooked it up to a dummy load and to my variable power supply, mainly to check the output wattage at various voltages. And I found that at about 13 volts, I was getting around 3 watts out on most bands, and at 9 volts around 2 watts. And it looked like, if memory serves, I may have to correct myself here, that it was pulling about 60 milliwatts or milliamps on receive. There is a little tiny OLED display here that may be hard to see with the camera. It is not terribly good for field use. It looks awesome in the shack. It's a little hard to see here in the field. I probably can turn up the brightness on this, and I just haven't done it yet. I can look through the menu items maybe as we go through this, but I don't know that you're going to be able to usably see this, the menu items on here. In fact, let me just pop in here in just a second and see if I can do that. But I should say that I brought it out here and I thought, let's just try to do a POTA activation with it, because that's what I want to know. Can it do a POTA activation or a SOTA activation? It has 5 bands, 80, 60, 40, 30, and 20. All of those are great field bands, and 80 even comes in handy in the shack sometimes, so I'm pleased with that. And it operates on all those bands. I think it's general coverage and receive, so you can actually receive some of the broadcast bands and stuff like that. But keep in mind, this is a $135 radio assembled and shipped, so we're talking very affordable. This is not a high performance radio. It is not going to compare to a Mountain Topper MTR3B. I don't think it compares to the SW3B even, because that's a 3-band radio. This is a 5-band radio. This actually does both CW single sideband AM and FM. which is kind of impressive for such a small radio. This is, without a doubt, the least expensive, most feature-packed radio I've ever tested, ever, in terms of frequency coverage, in terms of modes that it covers, and all that. But of course, with that, you sometimes have some compromises, and I feel like this is going to have performance compromises. I can tell you that the audio is not that great, and that's the reason I've got my little Sony recorder here, is the audio is just not good enough that I can record directly off of the camera. But then again, when I plug in this really nice shielded cord to go into the recorder, I find that the audio is incredibly harsh, and so I don't know how pleasant this will be to listen to. I don't want to alter it very much because I want you to hear what I'm hearing in my headphones. So I'll try to just regulate it a bit in post-production when I add the audio as a separate channel. But the audio is pretty harsh. The filtering is not wonderful. It does have a lot of filter selections, but they're not actually good at blocking adjacent signals. So this is not, this will overload. This little receiver will overload. But again, this is kind of more of an experimenter's radio and just a fun little cool project. Probably something I would encourage you to check out as a kit build. Yeah, we'll see. But anyway, the menu items, I'm going to see if I can see this well enough to jump in here for the menu items. There's the S meter. I don't know if you can see this, the S meter, SWR meter, CW decoders on, semi-QSKs off, the keyer speed set at 19, in iambic B mode. I have Vox off. There's a little noise gate. A TX drive. Now, I don't know if that actually pushes the transmit level or if that has more to do with, I don't really know. I'll have to check that out later. I mean, this is the thing. I hesitated to do this today because I have not been able to dive into this at all. I did my voltage testing on it yesterday into a dummy load. I did hook it up to my main antenna in my shack, and I wanted to see what SSB sounded like on this, which it sounds actually okay. And it just so happens I tuned to a POTA station, and I worked that POTA station off of the PTT button. This is a little built-in microphone, and I actually worked that station in Ohio with 3 watts output using the little PTT button and the internal microphone. So that was pretty impressive right there. There's a TX delay, CQ interval, so you can actually put in messages, and they actually have it preloaded with my call sign. That's kind of cool. They did ask my call sign when I did this. There's a PA bias, reference frequency. I'm not seeing anything in here to change the brightness of this display. Doesn't mean there isn't something somewhere, but I don't see it in here. That's okay. Again, we keep our expectations in check about this radio because it is not designed to be a high-performance radio to begin with. It's kind of a more fun little project radio. But it would be cool if it can do, field activation. So we're going to try that today. And I'm hoping that the audio is bearable. I really hope that I don't blow your eardrums out with this audio. I have no idea if it even has an AGC circuit built into it. I'm really not sure. But I wanted to push this to the front of the line because I've been asked by so many people. In fact, I posted a picture of this on Twitter yesterday, and I must have gotten like a dozen direct messages from people saying, hey, take it out to the field. I want to see how this thing works. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today. In a way, against my better judgment, we'll just see. We'll just see. It's always fun. But I'm a little hesitant, I gotta admit. I'm a little afraid this may fall apart on me if I get many people calling me at once, but we'll just we'll try to make it work here. So I'm gonna put my earphones in so I can hear the audio here. And you know what? I'm gonna have to move the frequency. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody directly on 7059. I can tell. And by the way, the volume control, I'm hesitant to turn that at all. I'm going to try to control the volume in post-production. But it doesn't sound great in my headphones, I've got to admit. I think that Xiegu or Xiegu radios have kind of harsh audio, but this is way, way harsher. But again, it's not meant to be high performance or anything. It's really kind of a fun little project radio. I'm going to be saying that a lot. I just know I am during this whole thing. Let's see here. Okay, first of all, I need to spot myself. I don't have the CW message memory keying done. I'm not going to do that today. I'm just going to do I'm just going to do a simple, straightforward activation. So on the side here, I'm trying to hop on. I've got very, very poor signal here on my phone. Let me make sure nobody's here. Okay, I don't hear anybody there. 7059. Our reference is K-2753. CW with the truSDX. Okay, so put that in the comments. Not that anybody's going to read that. Okay, let's try. Let's try to do this. So whoever the first person is that answers my call, they'll be the first person I've ever worked in CW on this radio. Let me make sure my spot actually went through. Looks like it's about a kilohertz. should add that my filter is set at 500 hertz. So this is set to 7059, but the frequency is actually showing up as 7058.4 through the RBM. So 339. Pretty low. Wow. I wonder if people are calling me and I can't hear them. I'm having to listen through this noise floor. It's really, really difficult. If I turn that up anymore, it's going to squeal on me. Okay, I think I got that right. There we go. So I said there I was going to QSY to the single sideband. So I'm going to move up to single sideband, and the only way to do this, I don't have a mic for this. You know what we'll do first, though? Let's see here. So I may end up turning down the volume so I can do this. Let me talk about this just a little bit here. So, hey, definitely got an activation. This is 11 contacts, so that worked fine for doing an activation. I'm pretty sure, though, that I'm missing some people that were calling me. You can hear that the noise floor is really, really high on this, and I've got the volume level set to 12 or 13 right now. I tinkered around as I was setting up the recording. I tinkered around with the volume with a CW signal to see what was the right volume to not just blast out everything, because really when I first put it in, it was just very raw, and the audio is just super, super, super harsh, and this was the happy place. It could be that you could change the volume with different people coming in, and maybe it would make a little bit of difference, but even with the volume turned down all the way, just the ambient noise floor of this radio is pretty darn high. So I gotta say, just based on this, unless something really changes my mind, like I've got some setting in here, that I need to change or something, or I'll learn some nuances of it, I'm probably not going to rush to take this out to any kind of activation often, because the noise floor is so high on it, I know I'm missing weak signals. I really do. One of them up here was pretty telling. I gave them, I think, a 559 or something. They gave me a pretty low signal report. I can't remember who it was now. But I was able to hear that, I could hear a weak signal. I don't know. But it's I gotta admit, I'm a little disappointed in the audio in this. Maybe there's something I can do to tweak that. I may be able to put in an inline attenuator or something like that and make the audio sound a little bit better, but it's so harsh that I feel like the only people I could really work would be the stronger signals, and that's the reason why a lot of these people have pretty strong signals. WB1LLY always comes blasting in here. It was great to put him in as the very first contact with this radio. And I could hear some bleed over. I could hear a little bit of overloading in there. Not too surprising. I don't know. Well, anyway, let's see if we can do single sideband now. I have to set this guy up. I wish this were a little easier to read in the field. It is not super easy. So now I'm going to change this to mode and use this as a multifunction knob. And I'm going to make it single sideband. Now, I'm not pretending that this is going to be easy to do. You know why? Because I don't have an external mic for it, so I'm going to have to use a little mic that's built in, which means I'm going to bring this a little closer to me. I may just log directly to my, if I actually get anyone, I may just log directly to my computer here, because I may have my hands too full with all this stuff. And I'll have to probably speak up, which means I'm going to move the camera a little bit here, so I can bring this radio a little closer to me, almost as if it were the microphone. It is the microphone, but I like it almost as if it were a hand mic. I don't want it to be that kind of close. What I'm going to try to do up front, if I can get my internet to work on my phone well enough, is try to chase somebody. If there's anyone on 40 meters right now that I can work, I'll try to do that. Let me see what the audio sounds like. I'm going to put my earphones back in now. There it goes. It almost sounds better on single sideband than CW. Okay, let's see here. Is there anybody out there? It sounds a little bit like a Pink Floyd. Let's see, single sideband, 40 meters. Man, is there nobody there? Come on, here we go. 7244, let's see if we get anybody there. 7244. Now see, I turned down the volume just now, but you can hear that the noise floor almost went up a little bit. I'm not hearing anybody on 7244, 7187. Okay, maybe I'll move up to the 20-meter band. Let's see if there's something in the 20 meters. I'm just going to try a little hunting here. 14,325. So you can double tap, and that moves you up one band. But I am in CW on the bottom end of the band. Do I have to change? No, am I in? No, I'm still in. I'm in the LSD, so I need to change it to USB for upper side band.
I have 2,000 memories, and all I do when I want to tune.
See, when you're tuned to somebody strong, it sounds okay.
And bypass the amplifier. Grab the nearest memory.
Okay, 14,325. Let's see if we can get there. Man, this audio is rough. Woo. $14,286. Find somebody else.
WWL.
$286. Now I'm listening all around 286. A little bit low, a little bit higher. But yesterday when I worked the station in 40 meters single sideband, it was pretty much on frequency. So I don't know why CW is that far off, but I can probably go in here and change that maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe it needs an alignment. 272.
Charlie.
That's probably not them.
QSL, you're 5x8, speaking 5x8 in Texas.
Yeah, that is probably. I can't hear them though. They're in Georgia and this is 20 meters, so that doesn't work very well. 267. So we confirmed that's a kilohertz off on 20 meters. Yeah, I can't find anybody really in my propagation footprint here that I could work on 20 meters. 14,295. Let's see if there's somebody up there right now. I'm going to move around a little bit. Not hearing anything. Okay, let's try a little CW pacing. And then you back down the CW band here on 20 meters. See if I can find somebody. $14,044. I could go faster than this by changing the setting on the tuning. Okay, menu, mode, CW. Okay, can't hear them at all. Okay, there's somebody in New Hampshire on 40. That could be difficult. And this is now picking up noise from my phone on top of that. Okay, let's see. 70, 56. Ooh, this is hard to see. Is this on single side band or CW? So still on CW. I'm not hearing anybody there. Nobody there. Okay. Looking for other CW stations now. $14,066. I'll have to move back up to the 20-meter band. And it automatically sends me to 60. Thought I heard something there. Let's see. I don't know if they're calling the activator. I can't hear them. Okay, no luck there. Anyone else out there right now? I don't see anyone. Yeah, you know what? We're gonna call it quits at 11 contacts. Oh heck, maybe I should try to. Yeah, I'm going to call it quits right now, and the reason why is I want to get this video uploaded in short time, so I'd rather keep this a little on the short side. I'm going to turn off the audio now. There we go. And I'll let you hear what it sounds like without not using the digital recorder. And the truth is, it's just super quiet. So you can barely hear this. Let me find somebody. You hear them? It's just they're buried in that noise. It's such a shame. Oh gosh, if the audio were better. Maybe there's a way I can go in there and look and see about grounding something that needs to be grounded. There's such a very narrow, usable window for the audio on this. That's the negative. Now, I think, like yesterday, I was hooked up to my big antenna at the shack. The park in Ohio, the activator was very, very loud. They were 5.9. They gave me a 5.8 report, and I was running 2 watts or 3 watts. So obviously it was a pretty good path. It was easy with a really large antenna, and it sounded okay because he was punching through. He was so loud. And so the audio was not getting in the way. But anytime, if I feel like the audio level on this is like an S7, it's almost like it's generating its own QRM. And that makes it very difficult to hear anybody below that. And, I'm using a good end-fed half-wave antenna right now. And if you go too high, this is setting number 3 or 13 on the volume. There's 16, 15, 14, 13, 12. And then when you go a little further down, it just kind of disappears completely. It's just kind of difficult to use. I wanted this to be a little bit better than this. I wasn't expecting crazy good, but I feel like maybe this would actually be kind of a neat little fun radio to take out for like single sideband, as a single sideband HT. Like on here, I would put a 20 meter resonant vertical antenna and have a little counterpoise on it. And using the PTT, this could be kind of like a little 20 meter HT. And for just fun little things like that, I think it'd be great. I can't say that I would make a trip to a summit and then pull this radio out. And the reason why is all the energy you invest to get to a summit, I just can't imagine then kind of throwing it out for this radio, because you may have a hard time hearing like some of your DX contacts and stuff. See, I can turn that up to about 14 right there, and it seems to be doing okay. That allows me to go all the way up to 16. Earlier on this band, though, when I would go up above 13 or 14, it would start squealing just like the audio did on 20, and I'm not sure why it's not doing that all the time, or is doing that all the time. So probably there are other people who know this radio much better that can comment in the comment section. I will say one other thing that's kind of funny about this radio. It's got such a great profile. It's so small. I was just telling my buddy Mike, it's like 2 Altoid tins stacked on top of each other. Maybe not even that thick, but the encoder protrudes out almost the same depth as the radio, not quite. It's a shame that encoder sticks out so far, but hey, it's a little fun project. It's not meant to be this isn't an Elecraft product or an Icon product or something. This is just fun. It's people experimenting with the limits of what you can do with radio and DIY projects and open source, and I love the idea behind it. And I will find a way to use this radio somehow. I'm going to build my own kit, and so it'll be interesting if I'm being really careful with it, grounding things. There's got to be some way to kill some of that audio that's coming through the amplification chain and the audio circuit. That's what's the killer on this. If the noise floor were better, I could deal with the overloading, the slight overloading, I was hearing, even with 500 hertz filter, I was hearing people earlier, when I was just turning this on and tuning around, I could hear people like over a 2 kilohertz path there. And so I know that as I was traveling across, so I know the 500 hertz filter does not really block out things from outside 500 hertz, but it does make the audio sound more like a 500 hertz setting. It's hard for me to be very critical of this, having only done one activation, but I thought 40 meters would be a good way. It was a little quieter than 20 meters. 20 meters had a lot of noise on it earlier, so I thought I'll start on 40, since I got a 40 meter end-fed half wave. I haven't tried 30 meters yet. I could hook up an ATU and do that. But yeah, we'll see. I'd appreciate looking at your comments. If you've had luck using this in the field more than I have, I'd be curious to know what you've got. Maybe, like I said, maybe for a single sideband, this may be, a lot more fun. I may try to do a single sideband activation with it, at some point. I want to know, though, and this is the reason I didn't do it right now, when you spot yourself on single sideband, people kind of really look at that as your spot information, right? So if I spot myself on 7188, but I'm transmitting on 7186 or 86.5 or something, I could be trampling on top of someone else that's on the band, and I don't want to do that. I need to test this at home and make sure that my transmit and my receive are actually in the same place, and maybe how far off they are if they're not accurate. So anyway, I'm just rambling here because I'm literally thinking this through myself right now. It's such a neat little radio in so many ways. It's such a neat little radio, but I just wish the audio was a little better on it. It's not shielded super well. The case is great. The case is very rugged feeling. It's probably ABS or something, but I'm not worried about this case being heard at all. If I had my little Allen wrench with me, I'd open this up in the field, but I don't have it here with me. But yeah, sorry, I probably just need to stop rambling at this point and call it quits here. I'm going to try to put this video out much earlier. That is, if I can get the audio to work. If I can't get the audio to work and it's just too harsh and unlistenable, because I don't know how this thing is handling that crazy audio coming out of this. It was blasting, and I found that when I turned it down, I couldn't hear anything but the audio the noise floor would go up. So I really tried to put it in the best position, like I said, that I could do for this, but I don't know how this Sony really treated that. So when I export it, I'm probably going to go into Final Cut Pro and work on the audio just to make it more listenable. I may try to, if I can remember to do it, include a section where you just hear the raw audio, but I want you to hear what I was hearing out of my earphones. The included speaker in here, I would not rely on this for CW and doing an activation. It's just not loud enough. I'd have to hold it up to my head to hear it. So anyway, again, thank you so much for joining me today. And sorry for all this rambling, but you know what? These are the thoughts that go through my head when I am doing an initial walkthrough of a radio and kind of reviewing it and stuff. I think about these things, and that's what I'm kind of doing here with you live. It is disappointing that I can't see that screen better in the field. I was expecting to be able to see that better. I think it's a little OLED display, but it's just not bright enough. And maybe there's a setting I'm missing where I can turn up the brightness, and that would be really cool if so. And please let me know if you do know of something like that. Thank you so much to all of the hunters that hunted me today. If you tried to reach me today and you couldn't get me, you now know why if you're watching this video. I just couldn't hear you. And I suspect there were people there. I really do. You just kind of have a feeling, and I heard at times what I thought would hear like a character or something. It was a little weird that one time. I don't remember who it was in here, but they were super, super quiet, and then like one letter, all of a sudden they popped up in audio again. I'm not sure what was going on there. It was not on their end. It was probably something, may have been an adjacent signal that was kind of overwhelming the receiver, and then when that signal went away, maybe it was a digital signal. the receiver opened up and you could hear them again, that could be happening as well. Weird things happen with overloading, really weird things. It's hard to diagnose stuff. So, but hey, I don't care. This was a beautiful day. It's a great day, and I'm glad I was able to fit in this activation. I honestly didn't know if I'd have time to do this today. But on the way out the door, I thought I'm going to throw this in the bag and try to put together something really quickly and see what we can do. And again, Steve, thanks so much for this InFed half wave. I love these things. Has a great winder. And again, I think I include this in other videos I've already shot and that'll come out here in the next couple of weeks or something. But it's very kind of him to send this on the way. And this winder is great. It really is. And I mentioned in a previous video, when I was kind of in self-isolation from COVID, I was feeling great. If I had COVID, it was a very, very light case of it because I've been all vaxxed up and boosted and stuff. But I was down at our vacation house, which doesn't have an antenna, of course, and I set this up outside, and I worked so many stations on it. It works so well. InFed half waves are just a no-brainer when it comes to portable operating. Honestly, if you're planning to do portable operating at all, it does not hurt just to have an InFed half wave in your antenna arsenal. You should at least keep one of those, because that way if your ATU dies or something, it's resonant. It works great. They're very efficient antennas. So anyway, with all that said, welcome your comments. I would love to hear from other people who have used this little radio in the field. Maybe there's something, a little weird with mine. I don't know. When I get back home in a few days, I plan to check this thing out again, do a little more testing with it. I really want to see if I can align it better. It was a 1.5 kilohertz off on CW, and that's pretty unacceptable because fortunately I don't think there's anybody there on the frequency around me, but if there would have been, I would have been transmitting around on top of them not knowing that, and that makes me a little uncomfortable. Well, I should say, if the I guess the receive and the transmitter on the same frequency, so probably I wouldn't have been, but it was 1.4 or 5 kilohertz off, or 1.6 maybe. And single sideband, I can't take that chance because when I spot, people don't always listen around very much, and there's no reverse beacon network to correct it, which is what happened when I was doing with CW. So anyway, again, thank you so much. If you get a chance, I wouldn't mind if you subscribed. I never really asked for that but anymore, but feel free to do that. Yeah, until next time, 7 3s.